You can't change your past, but you can change what it means. What if you're not stuck? You're just following a story that no longer fits who you are becoming. In this video, discover how to edit the script, replace limiting beliefs, and become the author of your future. It's time to stop surviving your story and start rewriting it intentionally, powerfully, and unapologetically. You are the author of your life. That's not a metaphor, it's a truth. And yet too many people live as if they're just a character in someone else's script. They play roles they didn't choose, speak lines they didn't write, and follow plots they never agreed to. But here's the truth. Your story isn't finished, and the pen is still in your hand. Your life has chapters. Some are beautiful. Others are messy, painful, or full of regret. But the most powerful realization you can have is this. Your past does not define your future unless you let it. As Dr. Miles Monroe once said, you can't change your past, but you can change what it means. It means you can reinterpret, repurpose, and realign your narrative. Not by pretending the past didn't happen, but by using it as fuel for a future you intentionally create. Too often people get stuck because they mistake a chapter for the whole book. They think the divorce defines them. They think the job they lost is who they are. They think the trauma they experience is the total sum of their worth. But life isn't just what happens to you. It's how you respond, how you interpret it, and what you choose to do with it next. Let's be clear. This isn't about denial. It's not about sugarcoating pain or pretending that everything is fine. It's about reclaiming your power to choose the meaning behind what you've been through. You get to decide what your story stands for. Victimhood is not your identity. It's a perspective. And perspectives can change. The biggest transformation begins not with changing your circumstances, but with changing your story. And that begins in the mind. There's a silent, invisible script running in the background of your life. It's the beliefs you inherited, the labels others gave you, and the assumptions you've never questioned. Maybe you were told you weren't smart enough, or that people like you don't succeed. Maybe you grew up hearing you should just be grateful and never ask for more. These ideas become embedded in the way you think, speak, and live. And unless you consciously rewrite that script, it will keep directing your life without your permission. So this is why intentional living matters. You have to pause, step back, and audit your internal narrative. Ask yourself, whose story am I living? Whose beliefs am I carrying? Are these ideas truly mine, or were they handed to me? The brain is a storyteller. It constantly tries to make sense of things. But if your story is based on pain, shame, or fear, your brain will keep filtering everything through that lens. Rewriting your story means changing the filter, not by denying what happened, but by shifting how you interpret it. You didn't fail, you learned. You weren't abandoned, you were redirected. You weren't broken, you were being reshaped. This isn't spin, it's truth seen from a higher lens. Before you can rewrite your story, you have to confront your identity. And here's the hard truth, many people don't know who they really are. They become a collection of other people's expectations, parents, teachers, society, culture. Somewhere along the way, they've traded authenticity for acceptance. But if your identity is based on what others say, then your narrative will always be unstable. Reclaiming your narrative starts with reclaiming your sense of self, not the version others want, but the version you truly are underneath all the conditioning. Ask yourself this: who told me I had to be this way? Who defined success for me? Who told me what's possible and what's not? Rewriting your life story means stripping away false identities. It means separating your voice from the noise. It means realizing that you are not your mistakes. your failures, or even your achievements. You are more than the roles you've played. You are more than the labels you've carried. This isn't a call to reinvent yourself. It's a call to rediscover yourself. People live in one of two modes, reactive or creative. Reactive people are always responding to circumstances. They blame the economy, their upbringing, or their environment. They wait for permission or for someone to save them. Their story is written for them. Creative people, on the other hand, live from the inside out. They decide who they want to be, and they align their choices accordingly. They write their own scripts, knowing they can't control everything, but they can control what they make of it. Rewriting your story requires this shift. From reacting to creating. You must stop waiting for things to change and start changing the way you interpret, respond, and move forward. You may not be responsible for how your story started, but you are responsible for how it ends. Words shape worlds. The language you use about yourself matters. If you constantly say, "I always mess things up," or "nothing good ever happens to me," then you are literally scripting your life with failure. These aren't just harmless phrases. They are affirmations that shape your identity and direct your decisions. Language creates atmosphere. What you say becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes what you do. If you want to rewrite your story, you have to change your vocabulary. Start speaking like the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Instead of saying, "I'm broken," say, "I'm rebuilding." Instead of saying, "I failed," say, "I'm learning." Instead of saying, "I'm stuck," say, "I'm repositioning." The words may seem small, but the impact is massive. It's not about pretending, it's about reframing. It's about using language as a tool to reinforce the narrative you want to live. If you don't have a clear vision, you will keep repeating old patterns. Vision gives your story a direction. It helps you see beyond the pain, the failure, or the fear. It tells you that where you are is not where you have to stay. Vision is the mental script that fuels your daily actions. Without it, you live in reaction mode, bouncing from one event to another with no sense of control. But with vision, you begin to live intentionally. You choose your actions based on where you're going, not where you've been. Ask yourself, what story do I want to tell a year from now? What decisions align with that story? What habits support it? What people reinforce it? What environments nurture it? Once you have vision, everything else becomes clearer. You stop living for applause and start living on purpose. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your mistakes. You are the author of what comes next. You have the power to take the fragments of your story and create something meaningful, powerful, and new. But first, you must make the decision to stop living by default and start living by design. The pen is in your hand. What will you write next? You come to the realization that you're not a prisoner of your past. You're the author of your future. But how do you actually change the story? How do you rewrite a narrative that's been playing in your mind for years, maybe even decades? Let's break it down. Everything starts in the mind. If your mental operating system is running on outdated beliefs, your decisions will always reflect that. You can't upgrade your life until you upgrade your thinking. Ask yourself, what beliefs are holding me hostage? Are you walking around with a silent belief that I'm not good enough or I always mess things up? Those aren't truths. They're just thoughts you've repeated long enough that they feel like facts. It's time to challenge them. Write down the dominant beliefs you've carried about yourself. Next to each one, ask, who gave me this belief? Is it true? Is it serving me? Then consciously write a new belief, one that's empowering, aligned, and intentional. Example, old belief, I'm not capable of leading others. New belief, I am constantly growing into the kind of person who leads with clarity and courage. Rewriting the story is not about flipping a switch. It's about consistently rewriting your internal dialogue until the new story becomes stronger than the old one. Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Reprogram those thoughts, and you change the trajectory of your future. You cannot rewrite your story while keeping toxic characters in the script. Every great story has a cast. And in your story, not everyone deserves a recurring role. Some people belong in a scene or two. Others should have never been cast in the first place. Here's the truth. If someone constantly reminds you of your past, doubts your future, or diminishes your value, they don't belong in the next chapter. You owe it to your future self to surround yourself with people who speak to your potential, not your pain. People who challenge you to grow, not people who expect you to stay small. People who help you turn the page, not those who keep rereading the same old chapter. This isn't about arrogance. It's about alignment. Who you walk with determines where you go. If you want to rise, you must be willing to evaluate your inner circle. Ask yourself, does this person fuel my story or drain it? Do they help me see possibility or only problems? Sometimes rewriting your life means rewriting your relationships. Every great story has a theme: courage, redemption, transformation, growth. Your life is no different. The problem is, many people are living their lives without ever deciding what the current season is about. They're drifting, they're reacting, they're unclear. But you can't live with power until you live with clarity. So ask yourself, what is the theme of this next chapter of my life? Is it healing? Then everything you do should support that. Is it building? Then eliminate distractions. Is it reinvention? Then be willing to leave your comfort zone. Choose your theme and let that theme guide your daily decisions. Let it influence how you spend your time, who you invest in, and what you say yes or no to. When you assign meaning to your current season, you reclaim power over your story. You can't rewrite your life by thinking about it once a month. Transformation happens through daily authorship. This means setting time aside every day to write forward. What does that look like? Journaling your progress, visualizing your next chapter, planning your week around your purpose, practicing gratitude to reinforce your mindset, reviewing your goals so you stay aligned. Your daily actions are the sentences in your story. You don't just rewrite with a pen, you rewrite with discipline, with routines, with commitment. It's not what you do occasionally that changes your life. It's what you do consistently. You don't have to write a perfect story, you just have to write an honest one that reflects who you are, what you value, and where you're going. No story is free from mistakes, detours, or regrets. And sometimes the hardest part of rewriting your life isn't vision, it's forgiveness. You must forgive yourself for the things you didn't know back then, for the choices you made in survival mode, for the opportunities you missed, and the relationships you stayed in too long. But remember this, you were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. Now that you know better, you can do better. Guilt and shame have no place in the chapter you're writing now. They are part of the old draft, not the revised version. To rewrite your story, you must release the weight of the previous version. You must give yourself permission to grow, evolve, and move on. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It simply frees you from being owned by it. Don't just rewrite your story in your mind. Live it out. Speak differently. Walk differently. Make choices that align with the future version of yourself. If the new chapter is about boldness, make that call. If it's about healing, book that therapy session. If it's about reinvention, take that course. Change your routine. Show up differently. You become the person you decide to act like daily. Don't wait until you feel ready. Act your way into readiness. Confidence is built through action, not contemplation. Every time you make a choice that aligns with your rewritten story, you reinforce your new identity. And over time, that becomes your default setting. Your words have power not just for yourself, but for others. When people ask about your life, don't tell them the broken version. Tell them the becoming version. Instead of saying, I've had a rough past, say, I've been through some chapters that taught me everything I needed for where I'm going. Instead of, I'm stuck, say, I'm in the middle of real alignment. Speak the version of your story that you want others to believe. Because the way you speak about your life becomes the way they see you. And more importantly, it becomes the way you see yourself. You are rewriting more than your story. You're rewriting your identity, your future, your impact. This process isn't quick. It's not a one-time decision. It's a lifestyle of awareness, editing, and realignment. But the reward is worth it. You get to become the kind of person who inspires others not because your story is perfect, but because you refused to let the pain be the final chapter. You've reimagined your life. You've questioned old beliefs. You've removed toxic characters. You've reprogrammed your mind, realigned your habits, and reclaimed your narrative. Now comes the most powerful phase of all, becoming the story. Because rewriting isn't just something you do on paper, it's something you embody. It's who you become every day through your presence, decisions, and legacy. Your identity is the foundation of your story. And identity isn't just what you say, it's what you believe about yourself. You may have rewritten your internal script, but if you don't solidify it, old patterns will return. And that's because the world around you will try to test your new narrative. Life will present situations that provoke the old you. People may try to remind you of who you used to be. Triggers will resurface. Doubt will whisper. So what do? You anchor your new identity with three things: repetition, evidence, and boundaries. 1, repetition. Rehearse your new story daily. Speak it, write it, live it. Identity is built by consistent reinforcement. 2, evidence. Create small wins that prove your new story is real. If your new identity says you're a leader, start leading. If your story says you're disciplined, build habits that back that up. 3, boundaries. Protect your story from sabotage. That includes environments, people, and mindsets that don't support your evolution. Your identity isn't just who you were or what happened to you. It's the person you are committed to becoming. You don't need the world to validate your new story. You need to walk in it long enough until the world can't deny it. The most powerful stories are not the ones that impress. They're the ones that liberate others. Once you've rewritten your narrative, your next responsibility is to use it to help someone else shift theirs. Your struggle, once reframed, becomes someone else's blueprint. Your pain, once healed, becomes someone else's hope. Your transformation, once embodied, becomes someone else's permission. This is the multiplier effect of authenticity. When you stop hiding your past and start using it, you become a lighthouse to those who are still in the storm. You don't have to be famous to be impactful. You just have to be real. Real with your story. Real with your progress. Real with your journey. Start where you are. Maybe that means sharing your story with a friend or mentoring someone who's in a place you once were. Maybe it means writing, speaking, or simply living out loud without apology, shame, or the need to explain. When you own your story, you open the door for others to own theirs too. There's a difference between writing a story and living it. The final proof of transformation is in how you show up when no one is watching. Do your habits align with the identity you've claimed? Do your decisions reflect the values of the new story? Do your relationships support the direction of your future? Living your rewrite means letting go of performance and embracing alignment. It means not shrinking back into comfort zones when growth gets uncomfortable. It means choosing purpose over approval, clarity over chaos, progress over perfection. You can't just talk about the life you want. You have to build it brick by brick with your behavior. You rewrite your story every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every time you say no to what no longer serves you. Every time you walk into a room with the energy of who you decided to be, not who you used to be. This is the everyday revolution. Quiet, unseen but powerful beyond measure. A rewritten story is not just for you, it's for generations. What you do with your life will echo beyond your lifetime. Your courage to change the narrative becomes part of the inheritance you pass on, not just in money or possessions, but in mind. Mind. When your children, your friends, your community look at you, they should see evidence that change is possible, that identity is not fixed, that you are never truly stuck. You're only one decision away from a new direction. Your legacy is not built in the highlight moments. It's built in your decisions, your consistency, your willingness to confront what was so you could give birth to what could be. So ask yourself, what do I want my story to inspire in others? What lessons do I want people to learn just by observing how I live? What kind of blueprint am I leaving behind? Legacy is not something you leave when you die. It's something you build while you live. If you take nothing else away from this message, take this. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not defined by what happened. You are the author, not just of the next chapter, but of the entire arc. You've survived enough. You've learned enough. You've waited long enough. Now is the time to decide. You can rewrite the story. You can change what the past means. You can reclaim your voice. You can redirect the plot. You can choose a new ending. And when you do, don't just rewrite it, live it boldly. Because the world doesn't need more perfect stories. It needs real ones. Stories of people who fell, got up, unlearned, grew, forgave, and walked into the future without apology. So pick up the pen, take a deep breath, and write forward. The rest of the story is waiting